Hey guys, it's Marc Silber. I'm an author, photographer, and educator here in Carmel, California, not far from Big Sur. This is there it is, Nepenthe. It's an incredible spot. If you ever get to Big Sur, California, definitely go there. And you'll see my books for sale there. It's a place I love, and I love drinking their coffee. I want to talk to you about this, how to achieve your creative goals as a photographer without struggling with gear and software. That's really my whole goal and my whole message to you. So I was talking to you about my composition field guide, and you should download it. You can click on that right there and get it. Put it on your phone and use it as a source of inspiration. Sometimes we go out there and we go, well, I don't want to keep shooting the same photograph over and over again. Have you done that? I've done that a million times. So you need variety. You need to switch it up. Well, these tools will help you do that. And the fastest way that I know to improve your game as a photographer is to improve your composition skills. Okay, so we're going to continue on. The next tool that I want to go over is using diagonal lines. And they can add the feeling of movement, interest, and vitality. This is an image I shot when I was in art school in San Francisco, looking down, which also combines another tool, which is angles. So I was above this car on a freeway overpass, and I used a fairly long exposure to get the motion of the car. That's another composition tool. But the main thing going on here is the diagonal lines in the road. That does give you the feeling of motion. I love diagonal lines. Whenever you can find them, use them. They add that feeling, that vitality, because the game we're playing with photography is this. A photograph is two-dimensional, right? Right? But we're trying to give it more than two dimensions. We're trying to give it some depth, some feeling, some motion or emotion, which go together, by the way. And we're trying to bring something out of it other than the usual kind of snapshot. And this is another tool to do that with. So use your diagonal lines, look for them. They're there all over the place. And when you find one, maybe you have to move your subject to the diagonal lines, but that's okay. Or you do what I did and you get above them. Okay, capturing the decisive moment. That phrase, decisive moment, comes from the great photographer, Henri Cartier-Bresson. If you're not familiar with him, you should become familiar with him. Fantastic photographer, known as, really, he captured the decisive moment in his photographs. What does that mean? It means the precise moment you have to press the shutter to capture whatever that action is. But really, this is the trick. Because of the lag of your finger and even the mechanism of your camera, you have to anticipate the precise moment. You have to be a little ahead of it. Because sometimes if you press right then, the motion's over. And in the case of my friends, in the 8th grade, I captured this photograph. These are my friends jumping off a sand dune not far from where I am in Morro Bay, California. I directed this shot. First, I shot them from the side. It wasn't that interesting. Then I got down below them in the sand dune, and I said, you guys, I want you to run, and when I tell you to jump, I want you to jump. Okay? So they did. They jumped, and I pressed the shutter right at that moment and got that perfect arc. 1 second later, or 1 second earlier, there's no arc there. And that would have disrupted the whole photograph, and you wouldn't be looking at it right now. Getting that decisive moment means you've got to pay attention to what's going on around you. You've got to look for those moments that could coincide. A bird flying into your frame, that could be a great moment to capture, but you got to be ready for it. It's painful, and I've missed thousands of photographs because I just wasn't ready. This is another reason I don't want you fumbling with gear. I don't want you changing gear all the time, because every time you change cameras or lenses, and this certainly applies to software, you've got a whole new learning curve. And that learning curve can get in the way of your photography. Don't let it do that. Our good friend Bob Holmes says, don't let your camera get in the way of your photography. Very wise lesson. Okay. Punctuation point. Speaking of Bob Holmes, he talks about adding a punctuation point to your photographs. What's a punctuation point? In writing, it shows you what you are supposed to do with that sentence. A punctuation point, like a period, says that's the end of the sentence. A comma says it's slowing. An exclamation point says pay attention. And this is really an exclamation point. This is a lighthouse near where Salvador Dali's house was on the Costa Brava, Spain. And the light in the lighthouse serves as a punctuation point. The clouds behind it were just really amazing. And I had a fantastic meal there. It was just remarkable. But look for those punctuation points in your photograph. They're there. You have to find them. So this is called grouped shape composition. Grouped shape, another way of saying that is layered composition. So we have in this final photograph a lot of different layers. We have, first of all, the layer of the overlapping clouds over here. That's one layer. We have the mountains on the left over here, and we have the mountains on the right. And those come together as a layered photograph that again gives you depth. So we're trying to break out of this flat two-dimensional image and turn it into something more interesting that has depth and feeling and emotion to it. And one way to add that is to look for these group shapes and look for those layers. Okay, I'm going to give you one more, and that is silhouette. Silhouettes are really cool. They are there. You can have a backlit subject, which can give you a silhouette. They're very often very interesting. This has got two tools combined together. One is the silhouette, and the other is the reflection of that tree in the water. I love reflections. You can kind of work them together sometimes. I hope those tools have been of help. Remember to hit that button and download your free copy, because I want to help you achieve your creative goals as a photographer without struggling with gear and software. That's my whole message. I got a lot of ways to show you how to do that. Hey, you guys, leave your comments. I want to hear how these tools have worked for you and any comments or questions that you might have. And if you really like this video, please subscribe so you don't miss any of the new videos coming up, and also enable the bell so it'll tell you when they do come up. And I'd love it if you like it. Leave your comments, share with your friends. And as always, remember to get out and capture your own images of life.